Welcome to Ciao Bella Living Italian Style. I'm your host, Barbara Zippi, and another episode today of my adventures in Abruzzo. A little different than the previous episodes because the previous episodes I brought you some of the surrounding towns and some of the attractions, what have you. This one is going to focus on the actual town of Loreto Aprutino, which is up from the seaport of Pescara along the Adriatic Sea. So if you look at this map, you see Abruzzo on the right-hand side. On that right-hand side is the Adriatic Sea. And then we're going to feature the town that you're going to see in the hillside. This is every time I drive up to that town, this is what you see. And I'm actually living among that historic section of the town. So the town that we're going to see, this Loreto Aprutino, is where my grandfather Guido Acevati and Lucia Nobilio are from. They both lived in Loreto. He came to the United States and enlisted in the American Army for World War I. He saw her picture on her brother's mantelpiece, one of her 13 siblings, the only one that came to the United States. And he said to his roommate, Vincenzo Nobilio, "Oh, your sister's beautiful. Send for her and I'll marry her. I would love to marry a woman from the village." So at 19 years old, she had no choice. She left Italy, came here and married. I'm really lucky that she never closed that gap. And she always kept in touch with the people in the town. Both of them, but my grandfather died a little earlier, and she lived well into her late 70s. So anyway, this little town of Loreto Aprutino is a small village town like others, but I think one of the most progressive little towns in Loreto. And my friends Steve Marino and Barbara Gambrel, who are from Aston, Delaware County, posted on Facebook that they had been all over Italy and they finally found a home to buy. And I saw it on Facebook and she said, in Abruzzo. I said, "Barbara, where did you buy in Abruzzo?" And she said, "Loreto Aprutino, a very little town." So here, we're actually neighbors when we go to Italy. They fly back and forth and really enjoy our town. So to start you off, I'm going to show you the street where I live. This is the nighttime view from my balcony of my bedroom. And it's a night of a full moon. But what I want you to focus on is in the very back towards the hilltop, is a lit church. It is called the Church of Santa Rocca Maria di Piano, and it's been closed since the earthquake. And when I've gone there in the last year and a half, it hasn't opened yet. This summer, the new mayor actually had a tour of the town, of the church for the townspeople, and they're working on the renovations. It was my mother's favorite. But I love looking out at looking out from the full moon and during a full moon. And there you can see the steeple of Santa Maria di Piano. And excuse my pronunciation. I have to get better at that. Now this is the back, which is really the front door of the street where I live. So the balcony end overlooked the countryside. And this is the front door to go in where those balconies are, right behind the little white car. That's the street that I live on. And when I walk up the hill, I'm looking down on the balcony of the homes, of the entrances of the street that I live on. The terracotta hillside that you see is a Cappuccino, which is the new section of Loreto that were the newer homes that were built, because most of the homes of where I'm showing you is the historic center and people move to the countryside. So this is on one of my walks through the town. Most of the time you're going to church. This is passing one of the homes, motorbikes with the price of gas over there, which is double ours. If ours is $4 for regular, theirs is approximately $8 a gallon for regular over there. They love flowers in the town, wherever they could put a flower box or flower pots, and they keep going all year long, mild winters. You find a lot of little ways where you see steps, goes up to the next level of the town. They're all built on a hill, so you could either go up or you go down. I can't get lost very far. And I love running across all these three-wheeled vehicles. We're half cars with the open backs, the apes, pardon my pronunciation again. But you could see how small the streets are. They needed that. Another set of stairs going up, up, up. This is going up towards the church, which is usually the churches and the castles or at the top of the town, so they could keep an eye on invasions from people coming. This is this historic center outside of Castello Ciola, which had been renovated into a 5-star house in 2000, closed during COVID, didn't open. And just recently, again, thanks to the new mayor in the town, Renato Morietti, just recently it was sold at auction and hopefully will be reopening soon so we can all go for visits in this town. And those are the gates to get into the castle. It is magnificent. I've hosted a couple tours there in the past, and it's wonderful, wonderful. These are the steps you have to go up from where I'm living to get to the top of the hill where that castle is. And that's quite a few, that's quite steep. However, every so often they have a nice little landing and you make it. Take your time. They always have little, you can see the railings you can hang on to on the side there on the right. And on the left-hand side, this here, this is the outside of Valentini Winery. Valentini is one of the famous wines of Italy. Quite expensive bottles of wine, not open for tours, except once a year during the San Sopito festival that I've shown you the courtyard in there before. And this is a beautiful, you pass there, her flowers are always in bloom. And the next picture will show you it's on the way to the Pierluigi Pace's Pretoli olive oil tasting showroom, for lack of a better word, down that little alleyway. He has a beautiful cantina where he lets you taste his olive oil. And you could buy it there, actually. So, so that is a beautiful part of walking through the town, and the streets are little tiny villages. Now we're going to hear the video of the way to the church, because the sounds of the bells that are there hundreds and hundreds of years are beautiful. Do we have that video to start? Okay, good. So I'm going to do some narratives as we're walking. We're walking down from that Valentino winery. Street's not wide at all. You can see it's one little car lined up. At that end is where the castle is, in front of that truck. But that truck's in there, down that street, unloading wine in these houses, cases and cases of wine. Okay, we're walking back towards the church. And believe it or not, in a little town like this, this is the main church, but I mentioned earlier there's the one where we saw in the field. It's closer to the cemetery. This is the Church of San Sopito. That's actually the rectory door where the priest lives. Beautiful, beautiful historic center. And you see those archways. Now, when you walk to the right down that landing, we'll come across the Olive Oil Museum down there, but that's a little later. Or no, the Ceramic Museum, I'm sorry. And now this is showing you going into the courtyard of the Church of San Sopito. This church was built in 100 AD. Of course, they've had additions, but all these pieces on the wall are from the centuries of the renovations and the pieces they have found through the years. And I'm going to walk over to the columns, and hopefully you can get a view of the vista that the church overlooks. Because your churches and your castles are normally the highest point in these hilltop villages. So once you finish, all you have to do is start walking down any of those steps you come along, and eventually they're going to lead to the town square. And I think I took some close-ups. I wish you could see some of these things go back to the early 1500s. They're just magnificent pieces of architecture that they saved. This church wasn't as damaged as the other ones, although everything had a little damage from that earthquake, but these pieces are ancient pieces. What I have to start learning again, because everything is designated by Roman numerals. So when we all went to school, we learned how to interpret the Roman numerals to give us the year. This is walking into the church. It was a beautiful church. And I think of the times my grandmother, as a little girl, went into that church. My cousin got married. My cousins from the town got married in that church. Actually, during regular Mass, they do the baptisms. They stop in the middle of the Mass and they baptize the child of the day, and then they continue on with the services. So everything is a celebration in the town. Everything is a community effort, and it's really a wonderful place. The next part that we're going to see here is an olive oil museum. The ceramic museum. I'm sorry. La Cerba. A Cerba. A Cerbo is the name of the gentleman who was a baron in the town, and through the World War II, he was a collector prior to World War II of the old ceramics that were used as their dishes, as their paintings. We're going to look over some pictures in the museum now. And when he passed away, he left his estate, and this is the inside. He designed it to host his almost 600 pieces of ceramics that date back to BC. These are pieces that were used as dishes, like when we get dishes out of the kitchen cabinet to eat on. These were pieces that were meant to be painted and fired and eaten on. These were their pots where they kept spices, and even their apothecary pieces for their cures were in these ceramic pieces, and they labeled them. And this Baron at Cerbo did a magnificent job. Now, of course, Castelli is known for their ceramics, and he has many, many pieces of Castelli in here. But he was a collector of all of that, and his is one of the most important museums of ceramics. And now this one, stay on for a minute, because many of these little tiles are ancient and go back many centuries. But the one on the upper right-hand side that's tilted, when the earthquake hit Loreto Aprutino, hit the Abruzzo region in L'Aquila, after the shocks were also felt in these little villages, Loreto Aprutino had their damage from the earthquake. Everyone ran, the curators of this museum, they all ran to the museum after the earthquake to see what survived out of the ceramics, and nothing was broken. And the only thing that was different was that that picture was on a slant and they left it that way. And they feel that all the angels and the drawings of all the divine Madonnas and all saved them from any real damage in the earthquake. So the stories that go with them go from ancient times to modern times. And the next picture is Baron Achurba, and he was actually known to have dispersed his collection during World War II so that the Germans wouldn't find it. And he went in hiding, and he went from farmland, from farmer to farmer, and hid in the hillside farms of Loreto Aprutino until it was safe to come out. Here is Pierluigi Evangelista and I, and we're in the museum. On the right-hand side is a special rare piece that a visiting group, I believe from Japan, offered to write a check with a minimum of enough zeros for $1 million to take that piece back because it's such a collector's piece. And it is in the center of the display. But that town's not going to sell that vase for anything. And Pier Luigi is an expert. He is the director of a few of the museums in Loreto. And now this is the outside entrance into the museum for the ceramics. And it's a very beautiful stroll through history. Now, I have to tell you, if we could come back to this, to me, when I left, they presented me with this beautiful, beautiful book. I have to say that this town has magnificent pieces that they put together, different than other towns. And it's just a small little town. But this beautiful, beautiful picture that I have to frame is of the hillside of Loreto. I don't have a daytime picture. I have a nighttime picture that I have framed. And then, look at these beautiful, beautiful pieces that they have available for you. Let me see what the other one is. And here's the others. These pieces are absolutely magnificent. We have to remember they were hand-fired and handmade, and it's just beautiful, just beautiful. Now, another museum in the town, which a small little town has all these cultural events. So it goes into, this is Simona and I outside, my cousin Simona and I outside of the Ceramic Museum. And we were making our way to the Olive Oil Museum, which I did, I believe I did a feature on the Olive Oil Museum. If you go into the ItalianAmericanHerald.com, in the August issue, there's a piece. They just won for the #1 olive oil museum in the entire country. Here's the new mayor, Renato Marietti, and he's presenting the award that was given to the Loreto Aprutino for the best olive oil museum. And Pier Luigi Evangelista is the executive director of the Foundation for Culture there, and his associate who helps and is also invaluable, and they're receiving the award. So it's a little town with a lot of impact, and we like to take pride in where we're from. I remember first going to this town in 1976, and they had a museum here and little things, but not to what they've built it like today. Now, a couple of the museums that are, there's a museum of antiquity and another in the town that were damaged by the earthquake. And with the efforts of this new mayor, I expect them to be open very shortly in the town. Now, this museum is the Museum of the History of Cinema Museum in Loreto Aprutino. And this was put together by my cousin's husband, Nicola Ippolito, who is from Catania, Italy, in Sicily, resides in Loreto Aprutino, but is associated as a professor of cinema in the Milan region with the University of Milan, and the history of animation is what he teaches throughout the year. He put this wonderful museum together in the October 22nd, 2022 digital archive of the Italian American Herald. There's a photo display that you can see, but through the years and through he has shown how cinema developed and how people used to even draw and sketch, and without any talent. If you were standing where that pencil was, if we could go back to that for a second, without any talent, if you were to stand where that pencil is and you look through that reflection glass, you can actually draw what is across the way. And it was very interesting to see all the graphics at the top where you have framed by black frames. He's explained every piece of a technique that was available through the years. So then we have the actual, next slide shows the actual old cinema pieces. He pulled those together, and then he's shown some other things. There's even a musical, the old Punch and Judy shows. He built one of them with the different characters to show how the beginning, before we had film, what people did for entertainment. Then you have this chair, which is cool. Somebody sits in that chair. The other person who's drawing that feature sees your profile through that white paper and can start to actually draw your profile. So it's amazing the tricks of the trade to develop the artistic abilities from centuries ago, and how they've done that. And then he takes it to today. Oh, this shows you in that cylinder, you can see a man's face. In the next picture, you're going to see, the next picture is that flat surface. That's what you're looking at. You have to put that cylinder in that position on that picture, and you will see the hidden picture in that picture. So if you're the Da Vinci Code, or you're following some of the old medieval things, that myths that people would say there's a message in that picture, well, actually, Nicola reproduced that so that you could actually see that there are messages in pictures. It's a wonderful museum to visit. And this is more of his creations. They're all hands-on pieces, and you can see how animation developed and how the movie industry came about. He's a fascinating man. So the digital archives for October 22nd is for an article on the History of Cinema Museum in the Italian American Herald under their digital websites. Now here's a picture of the town in the snow. I only had a little snowfall while we were there. So, but again, it's another book that the town put together. It's amazing that they have so many things that they're proud of sharing, and the talent in that place. Now we're going to go to the doors of Loreto. Imagine you're a general contractor from the United States and you're walking through this village. These are actual doors to houses, or maybe they're cantina garage, but that's the entrance to the house. Most of them are the house doors. And imagine having to try to replace one of these. Over here in the United States, we can never do that. Over there, their doors are centuries old and they work to maintain them. They are beautiful. They have different engravings on them, different styles. They're humongous, different colors. And the way people decorate the entrance to their homes, you can just feel the love when you walk in. They all have little balconies. Not balconies like we have in patios in the United States. We're usually, now here's one, the garage or cantina was open, and in the next picture, you'll see, I turned the flash on so that you could see the actual inside. And like years ago, they used to keep their horses or their donkeys in here. And now they maybe might use it for their cantina or maybe their car, variety of reasons. But there's no two doors alike. I was talking about the balconies, and I was saying that they're like Romeo and Juliet balconies. All right, before that, I'm going to take you to the winery. Not winery, microbrewery. When I was walking in the town, of course, wine has been made for ages and ages in olive oil. And today, craft beer is so important. I found this is a craft brewery that just opened in Loreto Aprutino. Barbara and Steve Marino Gambrel, friends of mine from the United States who are living in Loreto throughout the year back and forth. They bought a house. They came across this brewery. And the next picture shows us walking down, and they have one of those three-wheel apes. And then the next picture, it was closed when I walked by here, a close-up of my favorite vehicle. I couldn't drive one of them because they're not automatic. Here's the barn door, or the side door to get into the microbrewery. And then this is where they have tables and chairs. They were closed the day that I walked by here. But when you walk through that mesh, you can see what they look out on. So they're actually brewing craft beer there and have a little cantina for you to enjoy the craft beer and some snacks. Again, here we go with our streets, but you can see the tape across the houses. You know, real estate, you could buy real estate of these homes that need to be redone for a low amount of money. A refurbished 2-bedroom in this historic district where you can move in, it's already been done, could run you $35,000. We can't buy a house right now for $350,000. Now here's another set of steps and a courtyard. And if you take the next step picture, you're going to see another one of those apes. So I have to get a ride in one of them on my next visits. I just think they're so cool. But like I said, could never get behind that wheel. Automatic is not, stick shift is not my thing. I'm an automatic driver through and through. What do we have next is the rest of some more doors. And I wish somebody was, standing next to them so you could see how tall they are. These are entrances to houses down here. So obviously, you can't drive your car down here, and you might have to carry your groceries down that step to get in your door. Here's outside scaffolding on a renovation in a walkway. Imagine how you get 50-pound bags of concrete and all your building supplies up that to that entrance when you have all those steps to go up and down. It's not an easy task to renovate these old houses. Again, these doors just say so much about the town. And here is In January, when they have the Feast of Sant'Antonio, St. Anthony's feast day, they open this house and give out wine and tarallis to eat, because the next picture will show you the Church of Sant'Antonio. Now, this is the third church I'm telling you about in this little town. It's open in the weekdays for an early mass, and then they do a play here in January, where the actors in the town come out and recreate things that happened in past centuries around the festival and the Feast of Sant'Antonio. So it's a very wonderful, magical place. You could always find a festival in some town or another. I think we're towards the end now. We're going to see Pierluigi, my favorite man. Here, come to this. He's at his olive grove tree in his farm in Loreto Aprutino. Pierluigi Pace has taught me so much about olives. I will be doing a feature on him. I've gone each season, and this was the winter season when I went to his olive grove. And the next picture will show you how tiny those olives are. And on my next visit, I'll finish the seasons, and I'll be doing a special on Pierluigi and his olive oil. He taught me that, these trees, some of them are 400 and 500 years old. He taught me about the certain varieties of olives. Only 3 varieties of olives can be only found in Loreto Aprutino. And he's a master craftsman on olives, olive oil, and I learned a lot about American olive oil and Italian olive oil, which I'll be bringing you in a future episode. And this is my cousin Simona and Pierluigi near an olive tree in the farm, in his farmland. He lives in the town of Loreto. I showed you where his olive oil tastings was. Then you have Maurizio. We have a special section on Maurizio. He has a show, an episode in just on his own in Ciao, Living Italian Style. And he also has a museum of his art gallery, and he's the concert pianist. And the September issue of 2023 of the Italian American Herald also has a feature of Maurizio. This is some of his artwork. Check out his feature in the Italian American Herald, the September 23 digital archived issues. Maurizio is another one who has a wonderful coffee table book from this little town in Loreto Aprutino. Pierluigi is crafting the best olive oil, Pretoli, that we're going to be doing a special episode on, teaching you about the olives and the cultivation and the difference between American olive oil and Italian olive oil. And I think we have to wrap this show up, but what I want to tell you is there's a lot happening in Loreto Aprutino. There's plenty of bed and breakfasts there. And I think we have another shot of our balcony goodbye. Do we have a balcony goodbye shot? Here is my hostess with the mostest, Antonietta. Her husband was married to my grandmother's nephew, Raymond Nobilio, which makes Antonietta my grandmother's niece, who's nearing her 90th birthday. And this is the balcony of the living room that we live off of. So I am proud to present Loreto Aprutino to you. This is the tip of the iceberg. It's a wonderful, magical excursion into any medieval town that you visit in the Abruzzo region. I'm just partial to Loreto Aprutino. So I hope you enjoyed my hometown. And until we meet again, I want you to listen on the way out to my cousin Roaldo Acciavati's band of musicians for the first time that they gathered after COVID. As Padre Pio always says, pray, hope, and don't worry. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode of My Adventures in Abruzzo, brought to you by Radnor Studios Mainline TV in the Delaware County, Pennsylvania area. I want to thank my director and producer, Kevin, for allowing this to all happen. And until we meet again, ciao, Bella.